Hello, and welcome to the 9th episode of What Lies Ahead, a discussion with the members and community of the Bay Club. Today, we are going to kick off a new weekly episode about becoming an essential business and what we're referring to as Phase 2, the next phase after shelter in place is lifted, and the work that's happening behind the scenes to make sure that our clubs and our operations are ready to welcome our members back in a safe environment. We have a collection today of senior leaders from the Bay Club, as well as some of our partners in the industry, to have a conversation about what's happening and what decisions are being made and how we feel like the health and the ability to be able to have members back on property is going to be critical as we look to the summer. So with that, I'm going to start with the introductions. First introduction is going to be Morell, who is a senior executive with the Bay Club.
Hi, Annie. Thank you. It's great to be here with you. I'm really proud to be a part of the Bay Club team. I joined our company about 6 months ago. I've spent really most of my career, about 30 years, in the hospitality industry. And hospitality is a core quadrant within the Bay Club model. Really proud of our operators during this time and really looking forward to the future that's coming.
Great, thank you. Next, I'd like to introduce you to our CFO, Kevin Klipfel.
Thanks, Annie. Nice to be on here with everybody today. I am originally from Boston, born and raised. My family still lives there. I moved to New York for period of time into enemy territory where the Yankees are, where I did my undergraduate degree and then worked in finance for a while at Credit Suisse in consumer retail investment banking. And then made my way out west about 5 years ago and chased a girl and got introduced to Bay Club through that process. And here I am 5 years later with married and a kid and off to the races. So it's been fun. I've been a passionate fan of the category, played baseball and basketball growing up, and really enjoyed kind of the philosophy of what the Bay Club team was up to under Matthew's leadership, and have really enjoyed my time here. So appreciate the dialogue today, and thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. And for those of you that have been watching this series, Kevin's going to be an upcoming co-host as we do a Modern Dads episode. So look for that in the next couple of days.
Contract still under review.
Next, I'd like to introduce one of Bay Club's longtime partners, Mr. Alex Rose.
Thank you, Annie, and thanks for having me. My name is Alex Rose. I am the Senior Vice President of Development at Continental Development Corporation. Continental actually co-developed and co-owned the Bay Club's South Bay facility. So this is a platform that I've been involved in professionally for well over 30 years. And some 15 years ago, I had the unique pleasure of encountering Mr. Stevens as he sat in my conference room amid some interesting times. And over many, many years now since, he and I and others have mused and talked about what could happen in this particular space and what a health club, even at the top tier, as I think we were at the time of Matthew joining the Spectrum Club, what that could become. And today it's as both an investor as well as a landlord, it's absolutely thrilling for me to see how this platform continues to evolve. And I have to say that sessions like this and other conversations that I've had the privilege of being involved with Bay Club leadership over the past couple of years just continually reinforces that it's a special group, it's a special place, it's a special way of looking at life and business, and I am extremely proud and humbled to be part of it.
Great, thank you so much for joining us. Next, I'd like to introduce one of the Bay Club's board members and also a founding leader of the fitness industry, Mr. Rick Caro.
I am delighted to be here. I've had a chance to join the health club industry 47 years ago, which makes me old, not necessarily anything else, but I've been had a chance to be an entrepreneur and owner of clubs, had a chance to sit on some boards previously, and I now work with some early stage companies that are trying to help the industry. But I'm delighted to have joined the board during the recent time when Matthew and the investors asked me to come on board. It's a very exciting time for the industry and a very challenging time. I'm delighted to be here today.
We're thrilled to have you. A repeat guest, we've invited Mr. Gordy Collins back.
Thanks, Annie. Gordon Collins, tennis director at Bay Club Courtside for the last 41 years and tennis director for the company. Been president of the National USPTA and on various national and local USTA committees and task force. And one of the prime ones is trying to get our clubs open.
Great. Thrilled to have you with the conversation today. And then our final guest and another partner of ours, Mr. Bill O'Brien.
Thanks, Annie. Bill O'Brien, Senior Vice President, Operations for Troon, spearhead our West Coast operations. Thrilled to be a Bay Club partner. It's been obvious to me and our team over the last couple of years that we are a collection of like-minded entrepreneurs and operators who are committed to satisfying our members and their guests. And it's a privilege to be a part of this group.
Great. And now I get to hand it off to my co-host, our CEO and President, Matthew Stevens.
Thanks, AA. We're doing a variety of topics. I think on Friday we did a Modern Mom section, and this week you're going to hear from our human resources group. You're going to hear from our marketing team. You're going to hear from a whole variety of people that are part of the Bay Club team. As Annie said, our new Monday lead off every week leading up to and probably beyond when we're able to turn the lights on is going to be a little bit more of a serious topic, which I think is near and dear to our members, which is how are you guys going to get open and how are you going to be able to provide the services that we need, that we're such an integral part of our lives, but make sure that we feel safe and that, what's the transition in the new norm going to be as how this all works. So our Monday sessions they're going to be very direct, transparent, and intense, and let you know the work that's being done, not only inside the Bay Club, but with partners of ours, like our team from Troon. So I'm going to start off with Morell. Morell is one of our new team members who came on about 6 months ago. One of the key reasons we brought Morell on is he had been at Universal Studios, overseeing the F&B business there, as an expert on the operational systems, standard operating procedures process. And I've tasked Morell to be the leader of our safety protocols and to make sure that we could earn the respect from our governments, from our county supervisors, the sheriff's office, that we can be trusted to be part of the essential services phase 2. So Morell, as you know, I'm thrilled to have you on this team, and I'm excited for you to be the lead person on this. Can you give our Bay Club community a sense of how big our task force is and what you're trying to accomplish with we're really trying to target May 1st. Now, do we get that? We hope, but we're targeting May 1st as our zone. And what are we doing over the next 3 weeks to earn people's respect to allow that to happen?
Well, thank you, Matthew, and it's great to be here. Yes, as you said, we have a tremendous team of operators working on this initiative across the company at all levels of the organization. As operators, we really can't wait to see our members and our team members again soon, and our plans for reopening are well advanced. We know that regular exercise is essential, really, for maintaining strong physical and mental health, and the Bay Club's ready with state-of-the-industry protocols to be an essential resource for health and wellness as our communities move into phase 2 of their response and recovery strategies. Really, we're quite lucky. Our core activities of golf and tennis and swimming and cardio fitness are ones that support and promote social distancing very well. And our expansive indoor and outdoor facilities provide us with a great deal of flexibility to spread activities out and create social distancing. And as we move forward, every aspect of our club will be managed through a new standard of operating procedures to ensure proper levels of social distancing and the highest levels of sanitation and cleanliness across our facilities.
Great. Well, you're the taskmaster on this. I think, one of the things people should know is that we're not just trying to do this for the Bay Club community. We've reached out to all of our sort of brethren up and down the West Coast that are smaller operations. We're not enormous. I've said it multiple times. We have less than 100 people behind the curtain that run the corporate side of the Bay Club company. Most of our labor is out in the field. But we're a big regional operator compared to some of the smaller operators. And we've reached out to them and said, you can participate in our calls. You can be on our regional setups. We'll be as transparent as possible with what we're putting together, because we want everybody to be part of this. This is a category, we've worked our lives at this. Personally, I started in the industry in 1985, and it's a critical component. That leads me to a dear friend that has had a huge impact on my career. I think I met him when I was 21 years old down in New York City, and Rick Caro is, we use the term the godfather of our industry. He started our trade organization called URSA. He has shepherded lots of people's careers over the time, and he has been a valued voice over the last month while we've all tried to tackle this. So I'm intrigued to get his perspective on how things are going and how does he think about this essential services phase 2 combat. Professor Caro?
Thank you. I always love him when he calls me professor, because that implies I know something more than he does. I'm not sure that's true. The trade association, just for all of your information, represents about 10,000 clubs in 80 countries. And they're doing what any trade association should be doing right now, which is focusing on trying to be included in the stimulus bills and in the bailouts in Washington, D.C., where we've not been included to date. So hopefully that will change, but that's going on right this moment. And just to paint the picture for everyone, there are 40,000 clubs in the United States. And when we look at it, and many people might say, well, I know a bunch of clubs, there are 40,000, and the top 10 companies in terms of number of clubs control less than 5% of the total clubs in the US. So just as a perspective, this is considered by almost everyone who looks at the industry as a highly fragmented industry. What that means is the association, although it's now trying to focus on various things, is not able to focus on standards for the US the way we would love them to. And it's left really to local governments and to leading clubs to figure out how to define what people want. And that includes safety, having a healthy environment, and still be fun for everyone, because the last thing we want to do is make it too technical or too difficult for people to enjoy. So what we're finding right now is that what I love about the Bay Club is they're doing the fundamentals, in my view. They're talking to members and listening to them. They're talking to their associates who are trying to figure out, as Morell was just talking about, how to create the new safe environment that everyone will not only enjoy, but in many cases feel very comfortable with. And then they're doing the thing that I admire about the Bay Club, which is they deliver experiences with care and consistency. So in my view, we're on a path to creating a story that, in my view, will come out of the gate as well thought out, well executed, and something that everyone will be proud of to say, I'm coming back to my club, I'm excited, and I feel comfortable again. And I'm just sorry I missed so many days because I was obviously playing by the shelter at home and really playing by the proper rules to deal with this virus. So I feel lucky to be part of this. I'm excited by what I see, And I thank you for including me today.
There's 1,000 reasons why we asked Rick to be part of our board of directors, but what he's been is this unbelievable encyclopedia for me and us as a team, as far as what's happening out there in the industry and what are all the different people doing and how can we all share and learn that. And he's been this amazing sort of source of information for not just the Bay Club, but for all of us in the industry. And so more than anything, I want people to understand what he's given to create this category and allow you to meet somebody like Rick Caro, who means so much to all of us in the industry. So Rick, we've got lots of love for you and we're super appreciative of everything you do for us. So I'm going to turn my attention to Gordy and Bill. You guys are overseeing two big pieces of the industry from an outdoor recreational perspective. Gordy, you're inside our shop. You're the leader and the leading voice on the tennis side for us. And one of the things that we're focused on is, look, we've got these big campuses. We've got 10-acre sites. We've got swim and tennis clubs that are on 2 to 5 acres. We've got golf courses that take over 200 acres from a perspective. We're able to create great social distancing. And I know you've been on the horn with the USDA talking about how do we slowly ramp up the ability, but it's a shame for us to have all these tennis courts empty right now. And we've got to show the social responsibility to be ready to get into tennis. Can you give our tennis community about what do you think this is going to look like come May 1st if we are given the privilege to turn on our lights?
Well, it'd be great to have hear the thumping of the balls out here on May 1st. We're really well positioned in tennis to get outdoor activities going. A tennis court takes up 7,200 square feet, which is a lot of room. And rarely would you ever be in any kind of position within 6 feet of your partner opponents. Just wouldn't happen. So we can have singles, we can have doubles, we could have small group clinics. We'll be able to have access to the courts where there's, say, no touch on the gates. It would be really easy for us to get these ramped up in a very quick period of time.
So, I know that we've talked about the concept. We realize we're going to have to put protocols in place. We're going to have different ways that if tennis balls are going to be controlled by a server, so you're going to use your own tennis ball versus having just a generic use of the tennis ball. We're going to ask people to put a glove on their non-dominant hand for their racket for a certain period of time while we sort of step up things. There's going to be restrictions that are in place, but I think we as a group are very confident that we're putting those protocols. Over the next couple of weeks, we're going to start explaining those protocols to people with our eyes focused on May 1. Do we get May 1? We don't know yet, but we want to prove to the governments, the different county groups and the state of California and Oregon that we should be trusted with the ability to be one of those businesses that can wake up and start to help this economy grow. And we understand that responsibility. To the Bay Club community, I can tell you we are unbelievably focused on it. We are working 12 to 14 hours a day to be prepared to welcome you back into a safe community. I'm going to turn to Bill O'Brien. Bill is a trusted colleague that we've gotten a chance to work with. Last year, we made a strategic decision to partner up with Troon Golf. We consider them one of the leading, if not the leading, golf companies in the industry. We felt like we needed their expertise to come in and help us as we continued to decide how we were going to expand our portfolio. When we got into golf, we not only looked at it as a service that our customers were looking for, but we also looked at it that it was an enormous amount of recreational land that would allow us to let our customers use that property for other things other than golf. And I asked Bill to come on today. So Bill, help us understand your thought process on, as we've been working on this partnership with Troon, first on golf, because I know I've got a number of thousands of members of ours that are part of our golf community. And then also this whole recreational land concept that really helps us with the social distancing and giving a private club experience to our entire 70,000 memberships that we have in the system.
Thank you, Matthew. Yeah, really two parts to your question. The industry itself has done a good job of leading and establishing best practices over the last several weeks, if you will, to make spaces safe. And as we all already know, golf, like tennis, has inherently baked in social distancing rules, and people can play the game and enjoy the game the way it's designed in a very safe way. And operators are good at making sure that's the case. And that will continue once we reopen. Those traditional golf activities to some extent will continue the way they have in the past. What we're excited about and what we're bullish on, having had a chance to think through spaces the way we have over the last several weeks, is alternative uses. And to the extent we can maximize the benefit for Bay Club members who would like to use cart paths, for example, as ways to walk and or jog, or to stay engaged with their own physical goals, that certainly will be the case. Afternoons, if you will, across the Bay Club properties will set aside time for portions of their clubs to be used in ways where families can recreate. And if there's anything we've learned about being at home with one another so closely over the last few weeks, is how much we value that time that we have with the people we love. And in order to do that more in the spaces that we feel at home, like our golf courses, is something that I know the Bay Club community is excited to make available to its members. So creating spaces for members who might not otherwise play golf to use that space to be close to their families and to recreate is very much where we see this going when we reopen.
Great. The other piece that I'll do a shout out to Troon is they've helped us an enormous amount over the last year and a half, 2 years that we've been together on, the ability to purchase equipment in the correct way, whether or not it's golf carts or equipment that takes care of our courses. They were also able to give us guidance. We got a lot of work done on not only our tennis courts, but our golf courses during this off period time. So, to get aeration done on all of our fairways, roughs, and greens, and the courses and the areas are going to be in immaculate condition when everything comes back. We've been able to go in, I said this over the last couple vlogs, that we've been able to PM all of our fitness equipment inside the facilities. We've been able to regrout all of our shower, locker room facilities. You're going to walk into, we're going to welcome you back into pristine environments. We operate 364 days a year, so we rarely get this opportunity. It sucks that it happened, but we're trying to make the best out of it and find the silver lining to this process. So, we started off with Morell talking about safety and protocols and processes and the hundreds of people behind the curtain getting this shop ready to open its lights up. We're hoping that can be May 1st. And if not, it's going to be soon thereafter as part of it. Then you got a perspective from Rick Caro on the industry and what's happening. And my two big guns on the sports side of the world and where they sit. There's another piece to this, is just sort of what have we done to conduct ourselves correctly so that we're in the best light possible with all of our various partners. Alex Rose and team are Continental Development Corporation, the shop behind me, and this is our El Segundo location. It's a 100,000 square foot club. We own the building, but we have a long-term ground lease with our land, with Alex and team and Richard Lundquist are our landlords. And we were faced with a pretty critical decision coming up on April 1st of, what do we do to short-term, long-term, and how do we conduct ourselves? Yeah, everybody had different decision. We made the decision to pay all of our rents. And so we paid all of our rents. We reached out to our landlords, and we've been having dialogue with them here in April to talk about, well, what happens if this continues, or what's it going to be like to re-ramp up our business. But we've always tried to conduct ourselves in an ethical manner with our members, with our associates, and with our business partners. So interested to get Alex's perspective. You guys are a big landlord down in the Beach Cities area of El Segundo, Manhattan Beach, Torrance area. And, you know, you and I have had a few conversations. I was asking you lots of questions leading up to April 1st to what to do, and you were of amazing guidance on that. So interested to get your perspective.
Thank you, Matthew. Just by way of additional background, Continental is primarily an office landlord. We probably have somewhere between 600 and 700 tenants across our 3-4 million square feet of holdings in Southern California. And what we have been able to learn over the last 3-4 weeks is that there's an interesting sort of combination of both uncertainty and consistency, and thought I would share with the group kind of what we're hearing, how people are treating each other, and the various reactions that are taking place both on the landlord side as well as the tenant side. And one of the things that I would point to as sort of a benchmark is something that Rick Caro alluded to, and that was the importance of transparency and communications. And what we are finding is that the more you are in communication with your tenants, or if you looked at it from the perspective of the Bay Club, kind of a bilateral, the mention was made earlier about talking to members and listening to members, and also listening to landlords. The more you are doing that, the more you are finding that not only are we all sort of in this together, sounds cliche-ish, but people don't really understand that until you sort of have those dialogues and walk through this, what each participant and each stakeholder is going through and what their constraints are and what their opportunities are. The more you are also able to craft the right solutions that work for each other in the longer term. In the landlord-tenant arena in particular, it's often overlooked that from user to tenant to landlord to lender to lenders, investors, ultimately perhaps to the taxpayers, there's this long chain of interdependencies. And what is starting to emerge in the landlord-tenant discussion is a variety of reactions to that interdependency or that chain. You have users in different pieces of that chain that say, you know what, this is somebody else's problem, therefore I'm going to stick it all on that other person. That may be a tenant that says I'm not paying my rent. It may be a landlord that says I'm not paying my mortgage. It may be a lender who's not constrained by government regulations to impose constraints, capital calls, whatnot on a borrower. Any point along that. You've got people in the chain at the other end of the spectrum that say, I am really hurting. I need some help. What can you do? How can you help me get through this? And where those dialogues are leading to solutions is where both sides are completely transparent with one another. And if you're looking at it from the tenant side, you're saying, this is what, Mr. Landlord, this is what's happening to my business. This is where my revenue is. This is where my employees are at. This is what I can do. This is where I'm constrained. These are the programs that I am availing myself of. And Mr. Landlord, I need you to be a part of that. Here are some suggestions. Those relationships are not only within the spirit of what Matthew was alluding to in terms of the long-term one that Bay Club and Spectrum before that has had with landlords like Continental, but those are the relationships that are going to get through the current situation and come out in the right place on the back end. The other end of the spectrum is the one that I mentioned before, which is, this is all your problem, Mr. Landlord, or this is all your problem, Mr. Tenant. And where those relationships are going to go is that, number one, the instant situation is going to be dealt with last. So that's going to be the conversation that if I'm a landlord and I'm getting a notice from a tenant that says, you know what, I can't open, not paying rent, call you next year, see you later. That's the last guy that I'm going to deal with. And that's the last guy that I'm going to go above and beyond to figure out how collaboratively we can find a way to get through the current situation and as quickly as possible ramp back up as we normalize. And it's interesting that, again, across that 600-700 tenant base, we are seeing all of those pieces. And it is quite educational. And for a landlord, as Matthew can tell you, that is as much a small P partner to its tenants as Continental is, it's also surprising to see the number that do recognize that and work collaboratively and transparently, and the number that actually don't. Probably the other thing that we are hearing is that there certainly is no one-size-fits-all solution in this. It's not just, pick an arbitrary number of months to forgive rent. It's not an arbitrary number of months, go put it on the back end of the lease. It's not a one-size-fits-all that says that we're going to tear up your lease. That transparency and that communication means that you've got to go in and work really hard and understand the mutual needs of every single situation. The last thing I'd add that is sort of emerging out of the real estate, and I think Bill was alluding to it a little bit with the use of the golf course, and that is that, real estate are fixed assets. They are big, they're expensive, you can't put them on a set of wheels and move them somewhere else. So in the time of sort of a greater community need, it is interesting to see how people are approaching the real estate industry and looking to use assets very differently than they were intended. We've had dialogues with health systems about utilizing parking lots for drive-up testing. Some of you may know we developed and owned the Intercontinental Hotel in San Francisco next to Moscone. We have had discussions with the city about utilizing that to support their efforts in dealing with the current situation. And I think, like the general notion of transparency and working out solutions collaboratively, when the real estate industry is stepping up and doing its part in the overall, I think you lay a foundation for relationships and for a return to normalcy that is going to be much greater than the sum of the parts, than if you took an attitude that said, you know what, I've got an office building here, it's 4 office users. If I can't do that, nobody else is coming in, and call me when the crisis is over. So it's a very different experience than some of the shocks to the systems that we've all experienced in the last 30 years, but it is also a highly educational one. And I do believe if you continue to do right, whatever that definition may be, within the context of relationships and uses and communities, I think you come out of this in a really, really good place.
It's great. Well, yeah, I unbelievably value your input, and you've been a great mentor to us over the years. Going on 15 plus years that we've been connected. I think we're stretching on 17 years. So thank you for all of your guidance that you've given all of us throughout the years. Clip, I'm going to turn to you. Clip is my right-hand person. He's a rising star in our industry and one of the key figures inside the Bay Club company. As you know, Clip, we've been finalizing a couple of deals to work on the community side of things, and can you give the Bay Club community a perspective of how we've come out on this? Maybe being able to use a couple of our facilities to create a solution, giving back to the community with Broadway Tennis and San Francisco Tennis.
Yeah, thanks, Matthew. I think, to Alex's point on kind of we're all in this together, I think our philosophy has been, take the, on Alex's scenario, do right by vendors, do right by landlords, continue to pay them, reach out and create a dialogue around the situation that exists. And then we've been thinking about this whole community aspect of how do we have these big tennis facilities, 12 indoor courts in San Francisco, 6 indoor courts in Burlingame, and how do we use this space during this time period where we're not operating the clubs, and we can give back to the community. So we've reached out to a bunch of different municipalities up and down the coast of California and in Oregon to see if there are opportunities for us to make our facilities available to either house homeless people, to create temporary shelters for if the hospitals get overflown, isolation centers, and really just trying to do our part in the community. And again, trying to take kind of the high road on, everyone's got tough situations and we all have to figure out different paths in order to work our way through it. So we've been reaching out to the local municipalities to see how we could pitch in.
Yeah, so this is the first time the Bay Club community's heard from Kevin. His nickname is Clip. His last name's Klipfel. You're going to hear a lot from him over the next couple of weeks as we get ready to open up. He's playing an integral part to our organization. He's had his hands full as the COO, CFO of the company, and really working on all of the things behind the curtain. So we're glad to see his face on these What Lies Ahead, and I'm excited to hear him co-host the Modern Dad section of this process. So, it's a serious topic today. We've had some fun topics. Today's a serious topic because this is about getting the Bay Club community back together and the mechanics of how this happens behind the scenes. I also got a group of type A individuals, so the microphone is tough to wrestle away from some of them as part of it. We appreciate you guys sticking in there with the conversation because I think we want to make sure that we're dealing with the serious things and you understand how we're thinking about those. So, AA, I'm going to turn it back to you and let's talk about some things we're thankful for.
Yeah, it was a great conversation. Really appreciate everyone joining us today. This is my favorite part of the daily taping, taking a moment to have a thought about what we're thankful for and then being able to support local businesses. What I'm thankful for today is our members. I'm actually going to shout out 3 in particular, but their engagement and interest in what we're doing as the Bay Club community has been really incredible. And so as I'm reading through the emails that we're getting from the new normal, it's been insightful and it's been nice to stay connected. But 3 members in general, and in specifics, Robin Crabtree, who's a member in San Diego, Shannon Brogdon, who's a member in Portland, and Mark Robards, who's a member in Los Gatos, each sent us very thoughtful notes about this topic exactly. What can we do to get open? And how can we make some adjustments and what their perspective is as a member. And so I thought, I just want to say thank you for that. And we really look forward to continuing the conversation. My shout out is to a restaurant in Lafayette. Continue to really try and support those groups that are keeping their team employed. It's called The Coop, and they're doing great family dinners at really reasonable prices. And as we've gone and done some pickups, it's just been nice to see friendly, familiar, smiling faces. Morell, I'll hand it to you.
Thanks, Annie. Absolutely. I'm enormously appreciative for what the grocers and the grocery industry is doing across the country. They're obviously under enormous strain and have had to really reinvent their business model in tremendous ways. My wife came home yesterday afternoon and was speaking about the incredibly high degree of professionalism with which Trader Joe's had pivoted and adapted its business, and so we're grateful to them. They're an innovative company. They're a great organization, and to all the grocers who are keeping us fed and supplied and safe at home.
Okay, Clip, I'll hand it off to you next.
Yeah, I think on my side, it's a tough time for a number of people on a number of different fronts on, personal and work front. But my kind of silver lining in all of this is I have a 12-month-old at home who, my wife has a full-time job as well. And we get the tag team back and forth all day on making sure he doesn't kill himself. So it's been really fun to spend a little extra time with him during this time period and, see him as he's progressing in life. So thankful for a little extra time on that front. I think my shout out is Woodlands Market here in both San Francisco and Marean. I think has done a really great job of, they've got a local kind of community and personal touch to the experience. It's, a really great experience that we have an opportunity here in San Francisco. They've done a nice job trying to protect the employees with all the different items, from a traffic flow perspective and just safety on the shield side and that type of stuff. So that's my shout out for today. Great job by them.
That's a good one. We've enjoyed seeing Adrian in our Zoom videos in the morning. So we're appreciating your extra time too. Alex Rose, I'll hand it to you.
Well, down here in Orange County, they definitely have us bottled up, and I would kind of echo the comment about the grocery workers, because it is probably about my only human contact other than my lovely wife, who is seen in the room next door. So I would absolutely concur that they are doing an amazing job. It goes without saying that the all of the frontline first responders and healthcare people that are out there that are doing way above and beyond to protect us, risking their own health and life and safety and that of their families. So huge shout out and great appreciation for that. And I'll leave one other observation, and that has been that when I have gone out, it is interesting to note in this time of uncertainty how overly friendly and courteous life has become. And slights and things that used to set people off maybe 3-4 weeks ago, you now find a kind word, a kind gesture. So as somebody else mentioned, there is a silver lining in here.
Thank you. Much appreciated. Mr. Rick Caro, I'll hand it to you.
Well, thank you. I'm thankful on a serious note. I happen to have a niece who's a doctor in Berkeley, California, and she's doing telehealth hours and hours and hours a day to people all across the United States. She's part of a company that has clients all over, and she's doing a phenomenal job. I wish we all had her as our doctor. But on a humorous note, I'd just like to tell you that I love the fact that occasionally I get one of those email jokes that becomes a nice distraction and a real smile in light of what is, for many people, a very serious or, in some cases, lonely day. In terms of kudos, I would like to, I think it's probably a national company, and so probably has market share in California, but Instacart has become the ability for people to stay home and really play by the shelter-in-place rules and get their groceries delivered from either the major supermarket or one of the big big boxes. And they certainly have done a terrific and commendable job to allowing us to hopefully cope during these times. So I'm very grateful to them.
Yeah, we are big Instacart users in our household as well. It has allowed me to stay home and away from the grocery store for 10 days. So I'm very appreciative of them. Gordon, I'll hand it to you.
Well, I would say, piggybacking on your comments, Annie, that I'm most appreciative of our courtside family, our members here, just the community. It's been such an honor to be here for these 40 years and to see you know, it's not just about tennis. That's almost secondary. It's about the relationships that have developed over time. And just to see how our community is supporting people who are single, maybe locked at home, people with some disabilities or injuries or where they need support, just to see everyone come to their aid and be readily available for anything that they need. So as far as a business to support, I'd like to shout out to members business, pretty good advice over in Capitola. It's a healthy restaurant just run by a few people, and their service is just incredible, and they're going above and beyond the call of duty to supply even before or after hours meals and helping people out, and they're doing just a great job.
That's awesome. I love the shout out. And Bill, we'll end with you.
Really been humbled by the quality of leadership by so many of our employees over the last several weeks, and inspired by their stamina and their persistence and their poise. And I think it's helped others elevate their game. So feel most fortunate to work with a group of people who choose to lead when it's as tough as it is. And that's made the work really rewarding, for sure. In terms of a kudos, you know, I ate all my provisions in the first 3 days of shelter in place. And so I'm grateful for Rocco's, which is an Italian eatery on El Camino Real in San Clemente, not far from the house. So grateful for that group who's found a way to prepare still yet amazing food and make it easy to pick up. So very cool.
Yeah, the leadership has been amazing during this time. So I appreciate that sentiment. It's with my Bay Club team as well. Boss, Mike is yours.
Yeah, I think my shout out is going to go to the media. The media has done a really great job of communicating what is a very tough situation. I think it had to be super intense to get people to pay attention to this shelter in place, stay at home. And we're going to lean on the media a lot now to help us be able to wake back up the economy and deliver the essential services phase 2. We understand our responsibility in that to get prepared to be in the new norm and have enormous amount of safety protocols ready to go for our membership base, but allow them to get the mental health and the physical activity moving. And we're going to really lean on the media here over this next couple of weeks to allow people to know what has to happen in phase 2, but not to be scared, because this economy's got to come back. This is America. We've lived here all of our lives for a reason, and collectively together, we're going to find a way to get into phase 2 of this very serious situation that we all found ourselves in. So I'm going to say thankful to the media for their help so far, and what we're going to need to lean on them on a go-forward basis. My business shout out, the background behind me is the El Segundo Club down in our Beach Cities, LA marketplace. We got good friends that operate Cafe Vita. Marcello and Francisco have been partners of ours for over 15 years. They're going to open up their doors here soon and be ready to go. It's been an unbelievably popular site for us, for our club, and asking everybody to come back and give them patronage, because it's an amazing product, and we're so excited to see all the smiling faces of the team at Cafe Vita. So I'm going to shout out Cafe Vita. AA, back to you.
Thank you. Well, thank you for joining us for episode 9 of What Lies Ahead, but really the first episode in what we're deeming are becoming essential in phase 2. We'll have another episode of this a week from today, Monday, and give you updates on the work that we've done over the course of the last week. And I just want to take a moment and say thank you to all of our guests. We really appreciate the time that you've given today, and also sharing your thoughts and expertise with our community. We're incredibly grateful for that. And with that, we will say goodbye. Thank you.